Welcome to This Week from Blue Mountain Broadcasting. I'm Linnell Ellis, president of Blue Mountain Broadcasting Association, and I am very excited to be your host for this new show here on Blue Mountain Television. Actually, this is sort of a derivative of a show we did quite some time back called the This Week Show, and it's been 15 years since I got to sit in not exactly this chair, but in about this same spot here in the studio and talk with you about what's going on with our local television ministry. So it's a pretty exciting day for me. Last time I was sitting in this chair to do this, I was pregnant with twins, and now those twins are 14 years old and about to graduate from 8th grade. So yes, some time has gone by, and it's a thrill for me to be back here sharing with you what's going on in our community and what is happening with Blue Mountain Broadcasting. And later on in the show today, I'm going to be interviewing Ben Flinders, the executive director for Park Manor Rehabilitation Center, about what it's like to be working with the elderly population during our COVID-19 pandemic. So you'll definitely want to stay tuned for that. And then at the end of the program, I'm going to be talking about the most exciting and special things that are happening at Blue Mountain Television and Blue Mountain Broadcasting Association right now. So you'll want to stay tuned for that too. Let's start our program, though, by turning our attention toward our relationship with God with a devotional thought. Now, over the past several months, my family and I have been working our way through the Bible, reading it together in the morning. And it has been a number of months because we don't get huge segments read every day, but we continue to work through starting at Genesis and going through. And right now, we're in the book of Joshua. And over the last few mornings, I'm going to probably use the word slogging through lists of names of cities that have been given as inheritance in the land of Canaan now that the Israelites have come out of Egypt, gone through all of their wandering, and have conquered Canaan through God's amazing might and strength. And we don't know these city names, so it's really been kind of something to try to just get through. But this morning, at the very end of what we were reading, we came across these beautiful words in Joshua 21:43 through 45. So the Lord gave to Israel all the land of which he had sworn to give to their fathers, and they took possession of it and dwelt in it. The Lord gave them rest all around, according to all that he had sworn to their fathers, and not a man of all their enemies stood against them. The Lord delivered all their enemies into their hand. Not a word failed of any good thing which the Lord had spoken to the house of Israel. All came to pass. And when we read that this morning, our family realized that God was saying here, everything that I said I was going to do for you, I did it. Everything that I promised to you has been done. Every single word that I promised has happened. And we started thinking about how the Israelites' journey from Egypt to the promised land is really just a lived out illustration of this bigger story of what's going on with all of humanity here on planet Earth. Just as God delivered the Israelites from Egypt and from their slavery in Egypt and took them to Canaan, to the promised land, God is taking all of humanity, all of us earthlings, from our slavery to sin into the promised land that he has committed he will bring us to. And so God's using this as an illustration to talk about this journey that we're on from getting freed from the slavery of sin to our life with God, living with him in heaven and in the new earth. And so we really thought about what a joy it is to be able to read in this passage from Joshua how God made everything that he promised come to pass. Every word that he said was fulfilled and was true. And to know that, because this is an illustration of what we're all in, every word that God has promised us about our future, he has saved us, he has redeemed us from sin, and he has this glorious future planned for us. Every word of that is true and will come to pass. What an amazing hope we have. Not one word failed of any good thing which the Lord had spoken to the house of Israel. All came to pass. So we can know that not one word will fail that God has promised us as he's bringing us into his big plan of redemption from sin. God has made these huge promises to us, and He is going to make them happen. Promises like we read in Revelation chapter 21, verses 3 through 7. And I heard a loud voice from heaven saying, "Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men." And I have to pause there just to say the word tabernacle itself means to live with, to dwell with. So you could even use tabernacle as a way to describe what God's going to do. It's an active word. It could be a verb. It could be to tabernacle with them. Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and He will dwell with them, and they shall be His people. God Himself will be with them and be their God, and God will wipe every tear from their eyes. There shall be no more pain, for the former things have passed away. Then He who sat on the throne said, "Behold, I make all things new." And He said to me, "Write, for these words are true and faithful." And He said to me, "It is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give of the fountain of the water of life freely to him who thirsts. He who overcomes shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my son." Not a word of any good thing which the Lord had spoken to the house of Israel would fail. All came to pass. So these words that we hear in Revelation, they will all come to pass. God has this amazing future for us, and we can count on God to fulfill each of these promises to us. We are in God's good care. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the This Week Show. I'm glad that you are tuned in, and I'm really excited because my first guest that we're having on the revival of This Week Show is Ben Flinders. And Ben Flinders is Executive Director at Park Manor Rehabilitation Center. And we are really pleased to have you here with us today, Ben.
Thank you, Linnell. It's my pleasure to be here.
So talk with us a little bit about your role there at Park Manor. I gave a job title, but what is it that you do?
Oh, that's a tough and an easy answer. Really, it's whatever I need to do to help my residents thrive, help my staff have a quality experience as they're giving more life back to our residents and helping them to have a memorable, our theme is to create a rewarding experience. That's what our staff knows, and that's what they strive to do, is to create a rewarding experience for our residents and for each other.
Mm-hmm. So we're in a very difficult time right now. We all realize with the COVID-19 pandemic, it's been particularly difficult for long-term care facilities. So talk to us about what that's like, probably for Park Manor, but maybe also more in general.
You know, it's really been a challenge. I'd say two of the biggest holes that we've had to fill has been the socialization aspect, with the restrictions in place, which, by the way, have been, at least in our community, have been very effective. I know it's not easy for loved ones to not be able to see their loved ones inside of a care facility. My dad is in a memory care, and he's on hospice, and my mom's the only one who can go see him. And so that personally has been challenging. And so I can relate to the family members who want to see their loved ones and can't come in. And so that's been a big hole that we've had to fill with our staff and with trying to create those experiences where they can still socialize with family members in a variety of ways.
Yeah, how do you do that? What steps have you taken?
You know, we've done a number of things that I feel have been effective so far. One of those from the very beginning was window visits, right? We had families showing up. We have some of the windows still decorated from family members coming and putting decorations and signs up for their loved ones. We also we subscribed to a company called IN2L. It's Never Too Late. And they provide a platform for seniors to be able to communicate with families with iPads and tablets and technology-based communication. So we're having a lot of video chatting. It also gives them access to more senior-driven activities, because that's the other part, is giving them purpose. Not being able to engage in socialization, not being able to get out into the community, That's the second hole that we've had to fill, is that need to be able to have a purpose. I know before this happened, we were taking our seniors to the Christian Aid Center the first Friday, and I know your husband has participated several times as we've fed the homeless. And having a 70, 80-year-old person who feels like, oh, I'm in a nursing home, I can't give back, to be able to get out and go to the homeless shelter and prepare food and actually feed men and women as they come through, and children, it has given them great purpose. And so those are some of the holes that we've had to fill with the COVID-19 pandemic and the restrictions that have been put in place for our protection.
Yes. So Park Manor, then, these are some of the ways that you've specifically been responding as far as socialization and that sort of thing. What steps have you had to take to keep your residents safe from the disease itself? You know,
one of the things that there's been a lot of different criticism on, can they come and visit? Can visitors come in? Can they not come in? Who can come and visit? But at least here in Walla Walla and in our county, we've had positive cases at many of the senior care facilities, but we haven't had outbreaks like we've seen just one county over in Benton Franklin, or if you heard the news over the weekend of what's happening over in Yakima, it's horrific with the spread of this virus in the senior communities. And here we've been able to keep our loved ones and our residents safe. We do universal masking. We've started testing. As soon as we have any signs or symptoms with our residents or staff, we test them. The state has been talking about doing universal testing, but we started that proactively here in our county and have been able to prevent those spreads by being proactive. And I think that's one of the great things I can say about Walla Walla County is when we first started hearing about the horrible things happening in other places within the state, or even in other places like New York, Walla Walla was already ahead. We'd already planned for the worst. You mentioned earlier about planning for the worst and preparing for the best. And if we're prepared, then we don't fear as much. And our residents don't fear, and our staff don't fear, because that's been another big hurdle is staff don't want to show up and potentially get a horrific illness and bring home to their families. And so being proactive on that, the masking, the testing, the communication has been key with family members, with residents, with our staff, because if they know, then they don't have to guess, and then there's less fear. That's good, and you found that pretty effective? Your staff willing to come to work? We have. At first there was those moments of fear, and we had some call-offs, and we even had a few people quit. But for the most part, we've had not only people within our community already stepping up, we've been able to run training programs where we could train new staff to come in, which by itself created a scare, because then you're bringing in students that we want, we test and we check them to make sure, and we screen them before they come in. And so those are other steps that we've taken to keep our community safe and to keep caregivers coming in, because that's been that was the scariest part, I think, for long-term care facilities, is we couldn't share staff anymore, and a lot of us share staff here in Walla Walla. Okay, so what you mean by that is people couldn't be working at your facility and one of the other long-term care facilities in the valley? Correct, because of that potential to then, if they caught it, spreading it into a greater, more communities. So we've been able to find good staff who have stepped up, and staff who have worked overtime, and we've been able to train new staff. And so it really has been, we've been blessed at every turn to be able to continue to provide the care. A lot of people say, oh, you've been lucky, Walla Walla's been lucky. I really feel we've been blessed. Nice. I know it's a rehabilitation center, so you do have some patients that are there quite long term, but you also have some that are in short term. Now, some of these elective type surgeries stopped for quite a while. How did that affect your place of work? That affected all of us, all the skilled nursing facilities, because we saw a big drop in the patients that were coming in. Some of it was because of fear, because of what they're seeing on the national news, that, oh, you go to the nursing home, you're gonna get this virus. Yes. And so a lot of us had to put in place these plans to keep residents separated, to keep them safe, to screen them, to isolate them when they first came in, to keep them, and then to test them. So we did see a big drop there, which, to be honest, it helped, because then we were able to have more staff to take care of the needs of our residents, because, to be honest, we had to do more work. This was a lot more work. This isn't something that we were going, oh, this makes our job easier. It doesn't. It makes it harder because of the extra socialization we're doing with our residents, the dining in their room versus dining in dining rooms where they could eat together in groups, the addition of more therapy. With the residents being isolated, We definitely wanted more therapy to be interacting with them, keeping them stronger. We started doing respiratory therapy to help strengthen their lungs. Again, all in an effort to be proactive. In case the virus did sneak its way in, we wanted our residents to be as healthy as they could. So we were able to take those staff who used to work with rehab patients and make sure that they were helping our long-term care residents to be healthy.
Any ideas what the future is going to look like for long-term care facilities?
You know, I don't think it'll ever go, well, it might go back, but I doubt, at least until we get a vaccine or something that really can help put this under control, we're going to see masks, and we're going to see a lot more hand washing. We're going to see a lot more universal infection control procedures, which, to be honest, is a good thing. That is something we need to do to help keep our communities safe. And I believe that that is the right thing to do, to continue to do. Are we going to have visitors again? We will. Will family members be able to come in? Yes. But we're going to see masks, I think, for a while.
Anything that the broader community could do to be helpful with our older population?
You know, we have seen a lot of outreach. We've had food delivered to the facility. We've had a huge support from the different church groups making masks and playing ding dong ditch, ringing our doorbell and just leaving bags of masks or pizzas or stuff like that. Care packages to our residents have been tremendous. We even had two sisters who used to come in and play the violin for our residents. And they miss coming in as much as our residents miss seeing them. They performed on YouTube, and we were able to show that to our residents. So just continuing to reach out, showing our seniors and those who help build America that they are important and they're cared for, makes a big difference in their lives.
Very good. I want to thank you so much, Ben, for being willing to come and share with us about what's going on in that very important part of our community.
My pleasure. Thank you, Linnell.
And thank you. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the This Week show. It's time now for Station News. What's happening at this ministry that you love, and what are we involved in right now? The first thing that I want to tell you about is that we have hired a new social media intern at Blue Mountain Television, and we're very excited about that because the intern we had before ended up having to go home, and so we are really thrilled to welcome Michael Jimenez to our team. And this is an area that we're really trying to build up at Blue Mountain Television, our interaction with social media. So exciting news for us. Also, some of you are probably wondering what's happening with the new facility. And even though we are in the midst of sort of everything stopping and everything slowing down due to this pandemic that we are all experiencing, some small progress has been able to still occur. Our tower that we have purchased so that we can set it up at the new facility and put all of our transmission equipment that we need to on it has arrived. So it's still laying on the ground. It's not up, but it has arrived. The hole that needs to be dug for the foundation has been prepared, and we just got some rebar that we needed in order to be ready to install it. So it is moving forward at whatever safe way that we can do that. And by the way, thankfully, for our station employees and for all of you who watch the station, Blue Mountain Television is considered an essential business. So we've been able to continue on with at least many of the things that we would normally do at the station in order to serve our community. Now let's talk about some programming that's coming up. Blue Mountain Television is going to be able to carry a special program, the Upper Columbia Conference Pathfinder Fair. And some of you are probably Pathfinders, or you know a Pathfinder who is now going to be involved in, rather than going to the Pathfinder Fair, this year they're going to be watching this as a virtual event, and we're going to get to share with you those evening programs that are a part of that. And this is going to take place May 30 through June 1 in the evening. So watch the program schedule for that. If you have questions, you can call the station too. It's called See Need, Share Hope, and the speaker is going to be Jeff Wines. So something special, May 30 through June 6. Oh, I've got the time right here, 6 o'clock each of those evenings. Also, we've been working on some programming here at the station, Secret Life of the Desert. You've heard about that project. And Daniel Biggs and Mike Denny have been very busy heading out to deserts during the spring into remote locations where they could be safe even during this situation in which we are. They've gone to places like Leslie Gulch and the Pueblo Mountains and gotten some amazing footage. I've had the privilege of looking at some of it at the station, and I cannot wait for this program to come out. It looks like we're going to have at least 13 episodes, and it's going to be very exciting, dynamic, interesting, engaging, and can't wait for it. So keep watching, keep listening, paying attention to what's going to be happening with Secret Life of the Desert. Also in the programming area, we are now able to bring you season 2 of The Incredible Journey, which is a newer show to Blue Mountain Television and an audience favorite. So you can watch that program at 7 p.m. on Fridays or at 7:30 on Sundays, and tune in for what's really a fun and engaging program, The Incredible Journey. All new episodes, season 2, from now through most of the rest of 2020. Speaking of programming, this is a new show here at the station, or maybe sort of a revival of an old show with a slightly different name. We're now calling it This Week from Blue Mountain Broadcasting, and I hope that you will continue to tune in here as well to find out what's happening in our community and also what's happening with this ministry. So we're really excited to be able to revive that and bring it back to you, and I'm particularly glad to be able to be here and share with you and talk with you about it. And I would be slacking in my duty if I didn't say to you right now, you know, Blue Mountain Broadcasting Association and Blue Mountain Television are donor-based, viewer support-based ministry. And so we need to hear from you. Things are tough for a lot of people right now financially. I completely understand that. We've felt the impact of some of that in our own household, and I'm sure that you have as well, or other people near you. But this is a very important time to keep our open-handed approach to giving. We don't want to close our fists and pull things in. We want to be sharing and giving and contributing as much as we can, trusting God and knowing that He will provide for our needs. So as you might guess, donations for Blue Mountain Broadcasting Association have gone down some during this 3-month period where we've been in this situation. So you could give a special thank offering gift to God now and send it our way to help with this ministry that is even more important during a time when we're at home and not able to get out to regular church services and other events like we might. So this is a great time to give an extra gift. And also, please remember that a station like this one not only needs gifts for our building project, but we need regular donations coming in month by month to keep our normal and regular operations happening so that you can continue to receive the good things that you've come to expect from Blue Mountain Television. That's enough of me asking you to send money. I hope that you will. I hope that you'll pray about it. But I did want to let you know that I'll be back next week with this show, and my guest next week is going to be sharing with us about the effect of the pandemic on congregations and groups of worship. What's it like when you can't go to your church on a regular basis, and how do we think these things are going to kind of come out later on as we work our way out of this pandemic situation? So I'm looking forward to that. Can't wait to be together with you again next time on This Week from Blue Mountain Broadcasting. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.